I just want to say, oh, thank you, Jehovah.
Hey guys, this is Hope Said It back at it again with another weekly podcast. And this week I talked about being African and how when I was growing up, it wasn't so hot. And then now recently, everybody wants to claim their ancestry. Hello. So I brought someone who would know and share my struggle, my sister. That's right. And we're just gonna hop to it. I got a lot of responses from both sides. I got Africans, I got African Americans, so I'll get on that. But let me just tell you the background. We're not salty. We're actually very glad that people are loving, you know, their roots and the motherlands and all that other stuff. But really what it's about is just where we're coming from in the first place. And hopefully you just get a better perspective on that. So let me turn it over to Grace. I know, you know, obviously we grew up African. Explain to me how it was like growing up African.
I mean, you had people, classmates who didn't have a background of Africa. They just saw different commercials, the poverty. There was no true documentary showing the good sides. They had a parody movie coming to America, and that was their background. That's all they knew. So on one side, you're like, I mean, I get it. I see where the jokes are coming from, but you also got to understand this is people's culture. You go to school, you're just trying to fit in. I mean, was I trying to be cool? No, I'm just trying to study. But then here you go, trying to be making fun of people's last names and asking ridiculous questions. The African booty scratcher was the biggest.
That was like, what? I know. Well, I think the first time I even heard that name, this girl in Maryland, we were from Maryland, she said, let me see your palm. And I said, oh, okay, what? And she's like, oh no, you don't have yellow palms. What are you talking about? And I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And she's like, no, that African man, you know, Africans, they have yellow palms. And I was like, okay, no, they do not. And she's like, well, y'all know y'all African booty scratchers. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't.
Wow.
Like, did I scratch and I didn't know that I scratched? Like, it's just ridiculous how people can think they can just come up to you and say whatever. And I think, I like your point. It is the fact that it used to be like Feed the Children ads. And then you had those comedians like Eddie Murphy and Jamie Foxx where you had the little spitting out of the straw thing. And then Eddie Murphy had that whole African girlfriend whole skit and everything like that. How she was ugly, but she talked like that. Like, and people ran with it. So you had that side where it was like, oh, Africa sucks. But then you had this ridiculousness of coming to America. Not ridiculous, like, you know, bad, but just the extravagance of it. Yeah. So then it was either you're poor like this or you're rich. So some people were like, oh, I know you got money. No, not at all. We're not throwing around gold like it's nothing, you know? So at least I like they brought that royalty aspect to it, but at the end of the day, no, it was not. So yeah, growing up African, that was difficult because you're just trying to fit in, really, not even trying to be cool. Like you said, you're just trying to just be normal and really not even be seen. You're not trying to call attention to yourself. So,
because I want people to understand, and this is not just for Africans, this is for any person who comes from somewhere else coming into the U.S. You are juggling. It's a balancing act of trying to balance traditional expectations from parents at home, because there are many expectations, and then what school expects. We got to assimilate. So we got to stay true to our parents, but then we also got to act cool at school. And so I don't think they understood. We were trying. It's like, okay, well, okay, I can't say this, but I'm trying to use the American slang, and it's like you're just trying.
And I think we're trying. I think the fact when it really comes to head, or when you get the ridiculousness of, you know, oh, well, you try to act American or you try to deny your culture, is really when those two worlds collide. So like when your parents meet your friends, or when your parents are in public and you're like, oh, don't know how to act. Yeah. You know, then it's like, okay. So then they're calling me my middle name, and I'm like,
no, it's not even that. It could be you were speaking English this whole time.
Oh, like the whole time.
But then the minute the friends come, you wanna transition into the
you're
language.
speaking full Igbo, and I'm like,
so wait a minute. So it just.
You understand what they said? I do. what did they just say? They were obviously, we're not talking to you. Mind your business, you know? So just different things like that we had to deal with. And even when you go to college, like I know I didn't go to the same college as my sister, but we just had different experiences there, because even then you have other Africans and you feel like you can relate to them with organizations like African Student Association. We had one at ours. I don't know. I think that's the first time where I felt, okay, no, there's still a division here, because I would go there and they're like, you know, what are you? I'm Nigerian. Oh no, you're Nigerian American. And I'm like, I cannot win. Like, I'm obviously not American, and apparently now I'm Nigerian American, so I can't even say I'm just American. I'm just Nigerian. It's Nigerian American, because none of the sides are really, you know, feeling me like that. So, and that's just how it was for me.
At our school, it was more, and it wasn't the Africans. It was some of the African Americans were saying things like, "Well, you look African," and now that was a bad thing.
Yeah, like, that's another thing. That's something that I
people
really didn't get. I was like, why are we now we're just trying to, it's almost like colorism, you know, where you're like, oh no, well, I'm lighter than you and I'm lighter than you. So then you have this tribalism or Africanism, whatever, to where you're saying, oh, well, you look more African, I look less African, you know, and it's like, well, what are you talking about? We're all African, who cares? And what is this African? You have a big no, like what were we saying that African is? At the end of the day, if you're African, then that looks African, correct?
And it's a continent, so
yeah,
people who look in many countries, exactly. We're all looking different. So what is Africa?
And that's another thing. It's a continent,
right?
People are. I'm going to Africa. Where in Africa are you going?
Because here's the thing: even within Africans, we're learning about each other only when we stop focusing on ourselves, because there's still this whole tribal
there's a lot of tribalism, even if, you know, we're Nigerians, so even when it comes to Nigeria, all the tribes that are in Nigeria, you still have that, let alone other countries. We're still trying to get Nigerian right, and we're like, Ghana, what? Right. Cameroon, we talking about Nigeria, you know? And that's another thing, don't ask me if I speak African. That's not a thing, okay? That's not
Afrikaans and South.
That's not what they're talking about. That's not what they're talking about. I get you, South Africa.
I'm trying to help them.
Don't help them. Because we don't speak African, and it's crazy that people think, you know, well, what's the language in Nigeria? Ooh, like
that's 200
plus. Like, what are you talking? It's a country for real.
That, there's dialects.
Yeah,
we don't know all the slangs of some other Igbo state.
So like, speak Nigerian to me. What? Like just don't be ignorant, because that's the main thing I got when we were growing up. Like, you know, oh, you're African. Oh, y'all must have run around with monkeys. Okay, well, I grew up in Maryland. Thank you. But my sisters and my sister brothers no, they did not grow around with monkeys. We don't have a pet lion. We don't speak African. No, I will not say anything in my language. No, I'm not. It's just a spectrum, you know? It's like, what else do you do? And then Black Panther happened. And people were actually calling me. I didn't see Black Panther. Yes. People, there are like 3 people at work, 2 people at church who literally just texted me and said, oh, what do you think about Black Panther? I was like, what are you talking about? Mind you, I didn't see it yet. So I was like, I mean, I see the hubbub, but let me see it first to know what I'm talking about. I think I know my opinion, but let me see it first. They were right to contact me, not in a bad way, but then, you know, mind you, we just talked about what we went through. You know, we just went, let me see how you feel. You see YouTube videos of people dancing in the thing, and everybody's, and yeah, that was fine, wearing African clothing, this and that, and now everybody wants to be some kind of African, even if, you know, Ancestry.com, all that stuff. And I didn't have an issue with it, but the childhood me was like, where was this 20 years ago? Like, we've been this. My mom been dressing like
Life
this.
Life would have been so much easier if Black Panther came out a long
the
time
only
ago.
time that Black people were worried about wearing African clothing in my adult world, even in childhood, was Black History Month. And even then you'd have like some kente cloth. And that's one thing. That's not even really Nigerian. You'd have kente cloth and
head wrap.
Okay, and then y'all want to speak Swahili, and I'm like, that's Kenyan.
Or celebrate Kwanzaa.
And what
American made?
I'm like, I know Kenyans who celebrate Christmas. What are you talking about? But anyways, So that's kind of why they call me. They're kind of like, what do you think? Is this ridiculous? Do you think people are, I don't think people are assimilating the culture.
No,
I think
they
that
actually did their research. That's why I like Black Panther,
a lot of,
because it was clear that the Jabari tribe was rooted in the Igbo tribe. If you watch the director's cut, and different people, different tribes in Wakanda were bits and pieces of other real cultures.
Regions of Africa.
But here's the thing, only Africans, and maybe people who researched.
Only we knew that.
Knew that, no, even beyond this, knew that the language, the accents, accents spoken by the actors were not all from one place. You had
no,
and people didn't notice
that.
With the South African, he was sounding Nelson Mandela-like. And then you had Lupita's character. I forgot her name.
I don't know her.
She's Kenyan, so she just stuck with her own. And then you had just different and then some were just made up. They didn't sound authentic.
Mbaku so was like, I feel Nigerian, obviously. But and then some people, I was just like, Angela
Bassett.
And that's what turned me off a little bit, because you're listening and you're like, this is the worst accent
in the mountains. Go back and watch. When she got to the mountains, her accent was gone.
I'm straight hood.
You gotta stay with it. You had one job in a huge movie. Learn an accent, because look, they didn't pick one.
You can pick a lot, and I know a lot of people were just like, all of them sound the same African, but no, it was different dialect.
Terrible.
No, it was pretty
accent.
bad.
And that really, really old lady at the tribunal.
Yeah, she should have the best one.
Hers was pretty bad too.
She didn't have a good. So that's what we were watching, and we're like,
it just stung. It hurt. Obvious.
It's like Will Smith. Remember when he played that Nigerian doctor or something, and you're like, just stop talking.
That's
like,
true.
This is straight Nigerian. Like, you can't say I was just African. No, this is Nigerian, and you're hurting my ears. Just stop. So things like that, I can't listen, because I'm like, your accent is just that bad.
Do the research.
Just like get real Nigerians or get people who know how to act better. All right. It was a good movie. Black Panther, I don't even watch it. You already know me. I don't watch movies. If I do, it's animated. Like I have to see the cartoon, not because I have kids. That was before kids, I would always watch animated stuff. So I went to Black Panther. It was cool. And just seeing kind of the after effects of it, I was like, well, I'm glad people are learning their ancestry. Yeah. And there are takeaways. There wasn't only an African takeaway, it was an American takeaway as well. We appreciated the research that happened along with it,
the music, the dancing.
Oh yeah. And those kind of, those traditional things that they added in, and you could tell that they did their research. But what I didn't know, and obviously I watched with my husband, he's straight American. So I was watching with him, and he's taking different things away. So, he takes away like, oh yeah, that's how, black people feel. And I'm looking like, what are you talking? Killmonger is the worst. And that's like his favorite character, because he can relate to that. And that's when I realized, and even when I posted the blog, that, black Americans, they feel a certain way too, because it's not necessarily, well, it was African versus black Africans, black Americans, but, it's almost like, is it the chicken or the egg? Like, were we mean to y'all first, so y'all treated us like this? Or, it was just odd, because they were like, oh no, those Africans, they treat us dirty. And they would always say we were ghetto and we were this. And I'm like, that wasn't my experience. Like, I was not up there calling people ghetto. I just knew that I was born and people were calling me African booty scratchers. So, that was the takeaway that I saw from there. And then a lot of people liked Killmonger's little ending thing.
Phrase.
Yeah, where he's like, whatever.
Bury me in the sea with my ancestors. That part. And then we heard it too.
Yeah, we heard. They did not move me.
But we weren't acting like that was.
No, people were acting like that is that Oscar-winning moment. Right. And I was just like, boy, ask for forgiveness real quick to T'Challa, because they'll take you back.
Right.
They'll take you back.
Right.
So that was an odd part. But either way, with that, and then Lion King happened, Afrobeat, just like the whole African music. I'm glad that it's taken off. All I said was, where was this when I was growing up?
We needed it.
We really did need it, because it's hard. It really is living an African American experience. You're like at home, and it's straight African, and you're doing everything.
Eating traditional food.
Yeah. And then you go to the real world, and you're like, okay, this is all American, so I can't even mess that up. And where do I fit in, you know? So it's hard. It's glad that I had siblings, because then we can all like relate and just wallow in it together.
I mean, some of the things we did to coping was like adjusting, using American accents for our names. And
oh yeah, oh I forgot about that. Yeah, for sure. Like my middle name, I don't care, it's Chama. Okay, Chiama, whatever. But
she was Kiana for a little while. Okay?
Oh gosh, listen, this is what happens when you tell me it's not cool. I'm like, listen,
we gonna make it. Look, I got a few more years of school left. This isn't going to be the one moment that brings me down. That's
hello.
Look,
I'm just like, listen,
too.
You don't like Chiama? I'm Kiana. You heard wrong. It's Kiana. What? And they're like, it has an M. And it sounds like an
Pronounced
N
like
in Igbo. Whatever. Tell me it ain't.
Look here. I didn't even go by my middle name. I picked a whole nother one. Okay? That's how serious it was. I like it now, but...
What is it, in fact?
On.
Oh.
It's Oluchi. Okay? That's what it is.
See? It's cool now. So now you'll rename yourself that.
Be quiet. You know what? Cut that part out. You know what? I can't stand you.
Another thing I know when growing up African is vocabulary. Now I get bilingual kids,
yes.
Not like get, but if they're talking about, oh, it takes them a while to learn English. I know why. Because your parents are speaking one language, and then outside they want you to see it, hear another language.
But even when they speak English, they have an accent.
Yeah.
So you truly don't know the American way to say things.
Especially when you're young.
Hear an American say it.
Yeah.
So different examples. I know for me, I was talking about with another student about some Greek mythology book, and I said that someone vomited, and she was like, it's vomited. And I was like, well...
Like my mom said, I vomited.
That's what I'm saying. So here's the thing. It's only in America, maybe other places, but mainly in America where you are wrong.
Yeah.
If you do it in a different accent. It's like it's vomited for Nigerians and other Africans. They're not wrong. It's just the accent.
For Americans, it's like, you didn't say it like me,
you didn't say it, you're wrong.
You talk funny. It's
not,
like, what?
Oh, you said it the Nigerian way. But you were wrong completely in America.
Exactly.
So.
And me, I still say this actually. If I'm, trying to turn to something or driving, I'm like, you didn't turn your trafficator on. I don't even know if that's Nigerian. Do they say trafficator?
British
I don't know.
English.
What is it? Blinker, I guess? Signal? I don't know. But yes, trafficator, I say deliquate. I don't even know what it is.
Right.
I don't even know. It's like, what does that mean? To digest your food? Like, my food needs to deliquate. And I'm like, what?
And then different British terms, the trunk of your car.
The trunk of your car. Boot. Yeah. And yes. What else? Toilet roll.
Toilet roll.
Instead of toilet paper.
Roll. We said
I still say toilet roll. I don't know the difference. What else? Palo.
Our parents pronounce it's a parlor. First of all, we didn't even know that.
We had no clue. The living room.
Living room is the parlor.
But they have an accent, so they're like palo.
Pala. So we were like, oh, in the palo. Growing up, we were like, in the
palo.
And then finally, we didn't even think nothing of it. Finally, we were like,
in the
palo? And they were like, then it's like, oh, parlor?
Yeah.
My dad calls my mom we call them, I guess y'all pet names, right? Whatever. So, but that's what Nigerians do. When your wife has a child, the mom is now called
Mama Oldest Child.
Yes.
So it'll be like, Mama Hope, Mama Grace,
That's
whatever.
the name of the wife now, and everyone will call her that. That's just her name, not her real name. That's her name for life now. So my dad would call my mom Mama Chukwude. My oldest brother's middle name is Chukwude. And so really fast though, it sounded like Machkude.
Yeah, always. And we were growing up and we just hear Machkude.
We were like, finally. Mind you, this was only like 10 years ago. We were like, Dad, why do you call her Machkude? And then he was like,
no. I'm saying Mama Chikude. I'm like, what?
Mind blown. Why didn't we ask him earlier?
We don't ask a thing. When I'm telling you, we were like double-digit age before we even asked questions. We're like, yeah, in the parlor. And then I'm going to other people's houses. I'm like, where's their parlor? They don't have a parlor. It's in the living room. And I'm like, where's our living room?
Right.
We don't have a living room. We have a parlor. I'm confused.
Yes.
So yes.
And then the blended language, we would throw in Igbo things, for Igbo words, and think nothing of it. Like for snack. Oh, snack is one syllable. Why didn't we just say snack? Hey, you want a snack?
That's not what my mom called it. My mom would be like, Ihan na tata.
Ihan na tata. 5 syllables.
Ihan na tata.
Because what that means is ihan something,
like something, yeah.
Na tata, to snack on, to eat. So why didn't we just say, you want a snack? We said, you want to eat ihan na tata. It's like,
because that's what mom would call it. Ihan na tata. This just tells you that I guess when you're growing up and you hear your parents say something, you just roll with it.
You just go.
Because we literally did not think about it.
This is from Nigerians who don't even speak the language. So imagine,
I listen, but
we understand it, but we don't really
say
speak
words
it.
here and there.
So
but
imagine fluent Nigerians or any other country. They have a lot going on in their minds, and we gotta respect that.
Exactly, because even now, like, how far removed am I from that? But even now, I have to think because what my parents are like, interpret, and so true. I would be at work and be like, well, if you want to interpret it like that, so you have to stop yourself before you get to a certain point. And I do that to a lot of words. I always have to think and say,
what's the American?
Yes, I don't know how to say this with you guys.
At the end of the day, it is what it is. We are loud. And now we don't, before it'd be like, Ma, you're way too loud.
Yeah.
We'd be in the store, and she's yelling. Right when we were next to her, she didn't have nothing to say.
She's doing it on purpose.
She didn't have nothing to say. We walk off and we hear our name.
Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, the echo. I'm coming. No, I'll act like I don't know you.
Now it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, who cares? Look at me. Come at me, bro. Yes, she called me.
You can be as loud as you want, and we'll be like, huh?
Yes,
oh, yeah, okay,
Nigerians are loud, and we're proud.
It's okay.
And that's fine. All I have to say is that's great that you guys finally embraced it. You embraced us. There's many people who decided to let me know that they are 0.5% Nigerian. I applaud you.
Let's agree. Can we come to a consensus that the people who can make fun of Africans?
Oh yeah, are Africans. That's like black people. If you make fun of black people, you be black.
Let's just.
Yes, make fun of your own kind, right? Isn't that the rule universally? At the end of the day, we're gonna be African whether it's cool or not. Okay, so let the fad pass. We have no choice. That's cool that you can get on the train when you want to, but when you get off, you might be back from South Carolina. I don't know. I hope not. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the traditional wear going. Let's keep the head wraps going, collaborations going. Stronger together. Let's make it normal. Yeah. Because I know in America, it's not cool to speak another language, which is insane. Yeah, it's actually very cool. Are learning multiple languages, and we're here speaking English, American English, and that's the only acceptable thing. It's like, no, let's embrace all of them. Just be cultured. Just be cultured. That's all it is. Be cultured. Yes. Be woke. Y'all up there talking about staying woke. Stay woke with culture. Globally absolutely woke. Absolutely. Yeah. That was what it was like growing up Nigerian. I will specifically say Nigerian, not just African. Yeah. Because other people could have different experience. I'm not the poster child for Africans, okay? Because they're all different cultures. They literally are. East is not like West. North is not like South. No, and people don't get that. It's what we know. It's just all Africa. So let me just specify. Growing up Nigerian, okay? But yeah, that is this week's blog post. Take a look at it at HOPEsaidit.com. That's where everything else is. So if you haven't caught up with my latest ones, look at the back ones. I do one every week on Tuesdays. So keep up with me. Follow me at HOPEsaidit on everything. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Are you following me? Do I follow you? Y'all see my responses? She ain't say yes. But anyways, you guys have a great day. I will see you next week. I don't know what it's about next week, but you're going to love it, okay? Bye. The circle? The circle. Kidding me? Are you kidding me? Don't use this for updates. I'm embarrassed for you. Extraordinaire.